So, if you guys have not seen the previous part of it, then go first and now look at the link. The news was going on in her house and there they were telling that Black Knight came. It has been 2 weeks but still no one knows his real identity, and only then Karen's maid drops something with whose voice Karen's sleep opens and she starts shaking her maid, and after being scolded her maid becomes happy. Rumgale then sees the scene where the Black Knight attacks a factory, and that's when Kaylin screams at the school. Black Knight and all the people start laughing at him. Rumgay see in scene where reverse. He says, "You look tired. Why don't you go to sleep in school? He always sleeps in school. I don't know. What does he do at home that makes him sleepy?" Then we see Cornelia in the next scene who was telling UC, "I have to secure Area 11 and catch all the terrorist entities," but got heard. A new drug has come in the market because it is very popular in the middle of Japan, and the name of this drug is Referent. And yeah, let me tell you one thing, we'll call the drug referral because what can YouTube do to our ocean? Therefore, we will call it a reference. And Kilin Aung explains that the Japanese people are getting a lot of this reference and the Chinese are supplying this reference to Japan. So we have to stop the Chinese coming here. And Cornelia tells UP that you should be safe. Only then UP tells her, "What about the Black Knight?" To which Cornelia says, "I will let them do what they are doing right now because they owe me a debt, and yes, take care of yourself. I will clean this area so that when you get control of this area, you don't have to drink water." Then we see the school scene. When Kalen goes to meet his friends, he sees that all his friends are getting ready for a school festival and he is wearing different animal graces. That's when Kalen says that since the hotel hijacking incident happened, the Black Knight came out and he was everywhere. Black Knight Zero is the companion of the week. Different terrorists, greedy leaders, money-hungry bribe eaters, hooligans, we root them out, and now we are heroes and our supporters have increased, and now we have the freedom to use nightmares, but everything does not go according to plan. But our leader Gloy was killed by Zero. We all want to see his real face and he wants to see me too, but I think that if we insist on it, he will probably get upset with us. We are nothing without him. Then in the next scene, we see Rebels because Lily says to her, "Won't you go for a walk with me? We haven't been anywhere together for a long time." Then we see the Japan Liberation Team in the next scene where they were talking. The people are supporting the one who saved UC, even if he's his... Talk about giving the Black Knight. Black Knight is a crazy group. No one thinks of them as bad. Kusakabe's death is proof of all this. Only then does a man speak, but Kusakabe committed suicide. Then their leader speaks to them. All this is crazy. This is a rumor. Then we see the scene of Kalen's house, where the president comes to meet him. What about his maid? Kellen says in a very rude way that take them to my room, and then Kellen's mother comes there and says, "I thought a boy must have come to meet you, and why didn't you go to school today?" Just because your father is not here doesn't mean that you will do your own thing here. Only then does Kellen say to her mom, "I am not complete if father is not here." You are taking it, and then she drops a pot due to which it breaks, and Kalen's mom, and she start listening to her a lot. Then we see the president in the next scene, who was telling Kalen that it seems that your family does not become yours, and then the president gives Kalen grades from junior to high and says, "This is sent for you by my grandfather." Kellen tells him, and everyone knows that I am Adi Britannia, and then Kellen tells the president that you just met. She's my stepmother. My real mother is the one who works like servants. My mother is crazy. She keeps quiet and keeps listening to others. He is weak and everyone dictates to him, and my mother also listens and doesn't say anything, so there is no point in keeping them at home. It's very bad with them. Then the president says, a wife, a stepmother, and a daughter are all living in the same place. If you get along well with both of you, you can handle both. Let's see Kellen's wax infirm glacie that opens a draw. There was something different about it. We see Keelan infirm glacie who talks to Yogi. Bogi tells him, referrals are something that people feel like they are in their old days, and the Japanese are buying it a lot, and China is supplying it to the Japanese. At 11, Britannia has a secret, so they want to return to their old times. That's why they take it. They are taking this referral in huge quantities. Can let go. Because of our popularity, a lot of people want to join us. We Black Knight have become very famous because we are the guardians of justice. Well, I will talk later. That's when Kellen sees that some British or a Zappalis guy were harassing him and killing him, and that's when Kellen goes to Lelouch, but he doesn't save the boy and keeps watching him. But in the next scene, we see where Lelouch tells, Japan has developed greatly since Britain conquered Japan. His military economy has grown tremendously, and he was telling Kaylin all this. That's when Kaylin says to her, I understood what you want to say and what type of person you are after all, Lelouch. You look smart, but it happened. Oh, lazy Charlie also always says Lelouch is intelligent, yet lazy. Then Lelouch says, so I don't want to do anything. When I was beating them, I did nothing. So you can understand that living with your head bowed before Britannia is wise. And hearing this, Kaylin puts one in her and says to her, do you think that living with your head bowed? Attention increases. It's useless to expect anything from you. I thought you were smart, but you're an ass, and she leaves. Then in the next scene, we see Callan's mom who takes those referees and finishes them. Then in the next scene, we see Vanita and Jeremy, where we see Vanita asking Jeremy, when Jiru Furugi came to save Suzaku, didn't you really? Do you know what happened at that time? That's when Jeremy says, believe it or not, and that's when Cornelia tells him about the Shinchaku incident. Yes, suddenly I too forgot everything. By the time I regained consciousness, my nightmare had been stolen. All I remember was meeting a boy who was wearing a school uniform. I don't even remember his face, Sir Manglesi. We see the Japanese team that Zero had called for a mission, and they were saying what Zero keeps making us do. He said that we have to destroy Britain, but we are doing police work, but instead we have become heroes. Only then Zero gives them a signal, and where these people had come, we see the scene of the factory where the Japanese people were supplying many referees, and only then they attack them by Zero's team, i.e. Black Might, and Kaylin also comes there with his nightmare, and only then Kaylin goes to a place where she sees that there were a lot of Japanese who had taken this referee so that he had gone in his old time and were having fun, and only then Kaylin sees her maid mom there. It was Mummy who she catches, and then she is from Britain. The police comes with their nightmare and attacks Kellen, and Zero sees this and says that this tribe belongs to them, and then Kellen takes his wax with that police nightmare starts to avoid, and that police is also chasing him and is constantly firing at him, and then he attacks Kellen's leg, due to which Kellen falls with her mom, and Zero also comes there, but he can't save her because there is a nightmare, and that policeman is constantly firing at Kellen. That's when Kellen says to her mom, run away from here, crazy, run away from here. That's when Kellen's mom says to her, this is who I am. I will always be with you, Kellen. Kaylin understands that her mom lives in that house so that she can stay with her and take care of her, and then she attacks Kaylin in the night, and Kaylin stops her and kicks her in one place, and Kaylin sees that her mom was still taking her name, and Lelouch was watching all this from behind and says, so this is Kaylin's mom. All of this is also being watched by CC. Then we see in the next scene where Kellen is with her mom and the nurse tells her that your mom's condition has happened because of that referee. They took too much of it, so it will take time for them to heal. That's when Kellen says the verdict is over, it's been 20 years, and she says to her mom, don't worry, I'll wait until you get well. We will change this world and then we will live in a world of peace. Then he puts his hand on his hand and says, Kellen, give your best, my daughter, which makes Kellen very emotional. We see the school swimming pool scene in the next scene, where Cece and Lelouch were, and Lelouch was looking at the application of those who want to join Black Knight. And he sees that in his application list there was also the name of Diehard, which is a very big fan of Zero, and he is a Britannia. And Lelouch says that this will be of great use to me, and there is an application of Kyoto Group which wants to give Zero a lot of power and nightmare. Then CC tells Luce that you want to show people that you are good, but I know your plan is something else. Jeremy then sees Vignetta and Diehard in a glacis, and Diehard speaks to both of them. My rank has also been lowered like both of you, so Vanita says to her, so I want you to help us, and Jeremy says we have found clues to Zero. Then Vanita says S for the private academy. I want you to investigate the students there. I think there's someone out there who supports the hero, but Jeremy says we'll do this later. We are being sent on a mission to Narita Mountain, and then Diehard speaks Narita. According to rumors, this is the same place where the main base of the Japanese Liberation Front is, so he tells Jeremy then, then we see the Black Knight team the next day, who was very happy because Cute had given him his nightmare, and he had given him his best nightmare, whose name was Gurren MK. okay, and the Japanese team was saying, finally Cute is supporting Black Knight. Then Zero comes to Kellen and tells him that everyone is very excited. They have seen a lot of revenge together. Kellen tells him, and finally we also became one of them who he supports, and then Zero gives Kellen the key of Gurren Nightmare and tells him that you are the most talented here. I know you are the only one who can handle it. Then Gurren happened to you, and only then Og comes there and says that strange information has been obtained from a Britannia who wants to give us, whose name is Die Hard. But it can also be a trap for us. I have to find out a little more, so Zero, what should we do? Then Zero tells him that this week let's go for a walk on Narita Mountain. Then in Egliston we see Nanali, who tells her maid that Lelouch will not come home for 3 days. He is currently on vacation. Then in the next year we go to Japan. Watch the scene of the base of the Liberation Front where his 2 soldiers were guarding. Only then there Zero comes and uses his gas on them and tells them to do anything here, don't tell anyone anything. And then Zero puts a lot of bombs in that area because Britain is going to attack the base of the Japan Liberation Front. Then we look at the Britannia army and Cornelia in the next scene. Cornelia tells Yuppie, no matter what happens, don't get out of this car. Then in the next scene we see Nina and the president, where we find out Nina has to befriend Yuppie because Yuppie had saved Nina. Then the president says you should befriend him. She's a princess, so Nina says, I just want to say thank you to her. Then in the next scene, we see Zero, whom Cece had come to meet, so he asks Lelouch, what are you doing here? Then Cece says, I told you I will help you, and asks Lelouch, why is your name Cece? What kind of name is this? And hearing this, Cece look at him strangely. But she asks him, Lelouch, do you know why snow is white? Because he forgot his color. Then we see the Britannia army in Agalizi because Japan was ready to attack the Liberation Front, and Cornelia says, according to the plane, Ufi will stay there and help us, give him the medical team. Then in Aglisi, we will not give Ufi. Let's see who speaks to the army officer by looking at the map. This is behind our army. This nightmare, who is this? So that army officer says, yes, this is Lancelot, who runs a guy named Suzaku. Then in the next scene, we see Zero, who had planted all the bombs in a good way. So he asks Ogi if it is right to do this, and Zero says, who is our enemy? He is considered the real strength of the British army, and he says to Ogi, do you trust me? So Ogi says, what did he say? It was I who asked you to become our leader. Then Zero says, then just obey me. Then we see Cornelia in Agalsi as Japan attacks the base on the Leveson front and launches its nightmare, and the entire Britannia army also comes with its nightmare. Then the Japan Liberation Front learns that they have been attacked, and then we see Zero, where a guy from the Black Knight says, Zero, don't joke, we're surrounded on all sides. There is no way to escape. Now how do we get out of here? Then Zero says if we have to live, then we have to fight. Then the men of Black Knight say, we have to fight against Tanya. Our enemy is Cornelia. She's the most dangerous. And a guy starts getting angry at Zero. Then Zero takes out his gun and fires at her and says there is no way to retreat. Just anyone thinks they can win this war without my help. Let him kill me. And after hearing this, all those guys become fond, and Zero says the same thing to them. After joining the Black Knight, you had only 2 paths left. Live with me or die with me. Then we see the scene of the Japan Liberation Team where they realize that Cornelia has completely surrounded them, and they have also captured some of their soldiers. Then we see that the leader of the Japan Liberation Front is not based on his base. He said he was somewhere else, but as soon as he finds out about this, he quickly goes to his base, and we see Cornelia is going to finish off the nightmare of the Liberation Team, and Britannia is starting to overwhelm the Liberation Team, and we see the vice captain of the Liberation Team who says to himself, I wish our leader were here, this wouldn't have happened. Then we go to Zero the next day. See who tells his team that the preparation is complete. All the members of the Black Knight get ready for war, and Himo says we will go under the Black Knight mountain and attack Britain from behind. I say once again, try to go down the mountain with all your strength. Our mission is to catch the second princess Cornelia alive, and who has made the way for us. He is sitting in Gurren MKG's nightmare. After that, Kellen uses a power of her nightmare whose name was Electronic Number 3, and she uses it on top of that mountain, from which a very strong shockwave comes out. Because of this, that mountain starts breaking from above and starts falling down, which affects many nightmares of Britain. They end, and Cornelia also becomes fond of seeing this, and slowly the top of the mountain comes down completely. Then Cornelia tells a soldier, this is not the work of the Japan Liberation Liberation Front, but of the Black Knight, meaning Zero is here, and as soon as Jeremy hears the name of the hero, he starts going towards him, but then Zero comes in front of him with his nightmare. And Zero tells Jeremy, so you are still in the army, traitor, and Jeremy gets shocked and attacks him, and then there Kellen comes with his nightmare, and Jeremy gets shocked to see Kellen's nightmare because he had never seen such a nightmare before. Then Jeremy attacks Kellen and they both start fighting each other. But Jeremy Gurin can't stand in front of Nightmare, and Kalen grabs him with his Nightmare's fake hands and uses his shockwave on him, causing Jeremy's Nightmare to be badly destroyed, causing Jeremy's Nightmare to blast, and Jeremy gets out of there using the emergency sheet, and Venator also comes there and says this is Jeremy. Died. What is Black Knight and Zero says everything is clear, all are in their place. If there is anything left, it's the checkmate. Then we see the UC, which sees in the map that 2 trucks are coming to this place. Then in the next scene, we find out here comes the leader of the Japan Liberation Team, who takes his nightmare out of his truck and says, no, catch Nelia. The time has come to avenge 7 years ago, and the leader of the Liberation Team attacks Cornelia's army. Seeing this, Cornelia is also shocked, and Guilford asks Cornelia to leave, so Cornelia also agrees and leaves. And we see in the next scene where the Britannia army was still behind Zero. When they were firing at him, Zero says that if this continues, we will have to fight the rest of their soldiers as well. Then a member of the Black Knight tells him, Zero Cornelia is believed to be the leader of the Japan Liberation Front. Watch the film Agalish Singh, where the leader Todo calls his base and tells his army officer to apologize for the delay. But I want you to send your forces to me, we can still win. And we see To was fighting Guilford. Then we see Ufi in the next scene, due to which Suzaku calls and asks for permission to launch the lance load. Then Ufi gives him permission to launch the lance load. Then we see Cornelia in the next scene that Kayleen comes up against, and they both start fighting each other with their nightmare. And there, Zero comes up, and here Cornelia is losing badly, and Kayleen starts breaking her nightmare. After which Zero says to Cornelia, why don't you give up? You're going to lose, Cornelia. And then Suzaku comes there with his Lancelot and starts fighting Kellen, and this opportunity. Cornelia goes to fight Zero, and Suzaku learns after fighting Kellen that Kellen's nightmare is the equivalent of Lance Loth. Both of them are on the same level, and while fighting Kellen Suzaku, his lance breaks some part of his corpse. But she falls down the mountain while fighting with him, causing one of her hands to be damaged. Only then does he come to her. Says to Zero, Kalon has a little trouble in his right hand. We have to fix it first. Then Zero orders them to retreat from, let's see in the next scene, where Suzaku falls behind Zero and breaks Zero's nightmare with his Lancelot, causing Zero to come out of his nightmare, and he sees that Suzaku is in front of him, and Suzaku says in his mind, Zero, what you want to do is right, but the way you do it is wrong, and he was going to sweeten her by pointing a gun at her. But that's when he comes to CC. Seeing Jisco, Suzaku becomes obsessed, and CC touches Suzaku's nightmare and sends Suzaku to a different dimension, where Suzaku meets his father, and he... How do you say you're here? You were dead, weren't you? And then we see the scene outside where Zero says to the vial, why did you come here? And he touches it. Then he also goes to the same dimension where Suzaku went, where he sees the vial paste. Her origin is where she came from, and we see Suzaku goes completely crazy and fires around there. And while saving Zero, CC gets injured, and Guilford also starts running from there, and we see Cornelia, who announces that everyone step back, we lose, and with that Britain or Japan loses, and the Black Knight wins, which makes all the members of the Black Knight happy, and only then does Callan notice that there is no Zero. Then we look at Zero, who had brought CC to a cave, and he was fixing her injury there, and CC was unconscious and was muttering something, so Lelouch goes to her and listens. Then he knows her real name, which we are not told, and we see Cornelia, who is very angry because of the harning and above the punishment. Using the power of CC makes Suzaku very crazy. Then we see Lelouch the thief CC in the next scene where CC goes to Hosa. Only then Lelouch says to CC, I have found out your real name. What a good name this is. This name is very good than CC. Cecilia says, I've forgotten everything. There's no point in me being here. I did not remember her name, and she starts crying after saying this. From then on she says, you saved my life 3 times. Thank you for that. And CC gets shocked after hearing this because no one had said thank you to her before. Wholeheartedly takes the name of 2 again, which makes her happy, and we are not yet told her name. Then we see Jeremy and McGlacy, who feels a huge shock because of losing to 0, and he goes crazy. Then see you in McGlacy. Yes, yes. The hero calls Kellen to that cave. Then as soon as Kellen comes into that cave, she sees CC and asks Zero who he is, then tells Zero, don't worry, this is our partner, its name is CC, and this is the end of part 2 of this video. And if you want its next part, then like and subscribe to that video and write the next part in the comments. I will get you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.